did you go to school?
And here's your...
What do you think of what's going on right now, mate?
These evil little invisible parasites.
Satan-worshipping Freemason moron.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
We're not run by factions.
Get the fuck out of camera!
There are much more powerful international forces in play.
Is this pink guy? Is this what pink guy is? I don't fucking know what's happening.
Please go outside and look at the mini quickly.
It's been crazy, guys, but guess what? It's how it is, mate.
Mate, because I want to do you slowly.
But I ain't spending any time on it.
Welcome to the Conditional Release Program, a podcast that delves into the netherworld of cults, crims and con artists. I'm Jack the Insider, otherwise known as Peter Hoisted for tax purposes.
And I'm Joel Hill, and we've got a show full of politics, dumb politicians and soft-sits who are even dumber, if that is possible, considering Alex Antic exists.
The media has been smashing the thesaurus since Saturday night, Joel.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up with the Orange Tsunami, the Hanson Wave, the Barnaby Joyce Earthquake, and the Corey Bernardi Cataclysm. Well, I made that last one up. And maybe even the Barnaby Joyce earthquake. We're talking about natural disasters. One nation are coming. It's just a shame that they didn't win the election.
It is funny that it always ends up being a natural disaster for an election. It's not a good metaphor, guys. Stop.
Yeah.
And
Can you stop on the tsunami? The last one we had, like millions of people died.
It wasn't great. No. So, meanwhile, in Zambia, the Trump administration is using medical aid as leverage to force the Zambian government to make a deal on rare minerals.
Yeah, we call that one, give us your critical minerals or we'll kill your children.
Literally.
And it is pretty much gangster-type behaviour.
It's completely fucked in the
from
head.
the Americans.
Yeah, it really is. It's not good. And Trump's foot fetish has been revealed, leaving Marco Rubio walking around in actual clown shoes.
And we've also got Zippy the Pinhead. That's right, Ralphie Babbitt, the
yes,
Senate's resident village idiot. And he's decided to turn $1 out of his tweets, which sounds illegal and probably is for a senator.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not sure if he's going to get his collar felt, Jack, but we will have a close look and see what's going on. But as usual, we've got subsets who think government is fraudulent, so they think they should be entitled to commit a little bit of tax fraud on their own, just asking for a bit extra on their tax returns.
A little bit extra.
It's not a big deal, mate. It's not a big deal. Just a touch. But this one went a little bit hard on. He's in Minneapolis, a haven for fraud, according to that fucking monosyllabic moron.
A lot of fraud going
kid.
on in Minneapolis.
And this was to the tune of $350 million.
$350
That's too much. You've got to aim lower.
I have a number of dependent children.
Yes.
Give me $350 million.
And they're in scammy childcare.
We'll have a look at that. But look, $350 million does sound like a lot. But in these trying times, it could get wiped away on high energy prices. Better to invest it wisely in beer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For some time now, beer has been a safe haven currency like gold and weapons-grade plutonium, if you're Iranian, and our wonderful CB Co. Beer brewery, they're offering you even more savings if you decide to, just divest your superannuation holdings and buy a beer. I am sure that all you need to do is just send a letter to your super fund and just say, look, it's the next Bitcoin, and if you deny me this, you'll deny me retirement, and they'll just say yes.
Where's my freedom?
To get the discount, it is CRP10 at cbco.beer. But realistically, you don't need that because you're going to make so many dividends from this.
That's right.
This is not financial advice.
You'll be rich as Nazis.
That is also not financial advice.
We should say that we are neither of us are licensed to give financial advice, but we're going to do it anyway.
Exactly. And also, you will be rich as Nazis in spirit. And that's very rich.
So go long on beer, folks, and you'll never go wrong. Back in my days as a pornographer, I used to write a made-up business column which urged investors to buy Vietnamese currency, or as I used to write, go long on the dong. And now it's beer. Put your dong down and buy beer.
Yeah, you can actually buy beer with dong over there, but that's a whole other story and relevant to a thing later. Strange.
Yeah, you've got to go long on the dong.
I've got to go long on the dong. I still find that currency funny. And look, we do want to remind listeners that while this show is technically free, it's not free to make. And God, time is money, and this takes time. So please consider contributing to the Patreon.
But look, for as little as 5 subs, you can have access to all sorts of behind-the-paywall content featuring a nearly nude Joel going long on his dong.
Really? Is that
no,
OnlyFans now? Is that where we're going? Fuck me.
No, God, no. Please, no. No, he actually doesn't do that. Not on Zoom, as far as I know. But he is willing to have a lash so to speak, if listeners don't fork out their eddies. Best just pay your money to keep the show away from the harsh light of the illegal government and their even more illegal censors.
And I was wearing a shirt today. The fuck? So the South Australian election has been run, won and done. And
Yes.
you might be excused for thinking the triumph belonged to Pauline Hanson, but it did not. It belonged to two people, Premier Peter Malinauskas and his Deputy Premier, Peter Malinauskas biceps. Oh, and South Australian Labor, if you give a fuck about that.
He's fit.
His arms are the kind of things that stop pipes from working. So they were re-elected in a landslide, but you wouldn't fucking know that if you were looking at any of the media. We'll get back to that in a sec. There's numbers.
Yeah, we shall.
Yeah,
Well, congratulations, firstly, to Peter Malinauskas.
And his biceps.
I did see Pembo and the Australian gave him a hearty congratulations, but there hasn't been too much of that. It's all about Pauline. But
Yeah.
look, it is quite a feat to win a second term and increase your parliamentary majority while doing so.
Yeah, and let's not say he just Bradforded on basically One Nation ruining the whole thing. Let's just make it seem like he's doing well.
Yeah.
Because I guess, he's doing all right. Look, it's hardly worth comparing last week's state election with the results 4 years ago, but we're going to do it anyway. Labor has dropped 2.5% the primary vote, and the Greens gained a point or so. The Liberals have gone from a respectable 36% to an 18%, which is not as respectable. And One Nation has gone from 2.4%, where they rightfully should be, to 22.2%. That's terrifying. Of course, Family First vote shit itself, dropped 2 points, as did the independent vote, which, when all the maths has been done, basically there may have been a minuscule loss of support to the right from the Malinauskas government.
Very
but
small.
We know where it's all coming from. Dickheads like Family First. But the real story is the collapse of the Liberal vote, which we've all seen coming, and it's been really the story of the year. And even the biggest story is one that when One Nation actually runs hard and gets support in the 20% ban, Labor wins. So thanks. Thanks, Orange guys.
First supposed to oppose voting, mate.
Dude, preferential voting sucks. What sucks right now? Shut
Kevin
up.
Bonham, the psephologist, active on X, he just attracts these
fuckwits.
Anti-preference vote clowns, and he's not coping well with them. It must
No
be
one's
said.
voting minor party without preferential voting. Like, this would never have happened. So shut the fuck up.
Well, in the seat breakdown, Malinauskas and Labor have gained at least 5 seats, with 8 seats in total in doubt.
That's
The
insane.
Libs have been reduced to just 4 in the lower house. That's confirmed. They should have 6 or 7 when the count is concluded. The best One Nation can expect is 3 seats, while just 1 is confirmed. Of the 8 seats in doubt, One Nation leads the Libs in 2 and an independent in another. I'd expect even a weakened Liberal Party to be better at postals than One Nation. So my prediction is when it's all counted, or finally done and dusted, is that One Nation will have 2 seats in the lower house. Meanwhile, Labor are going to have something like 33, I would think.
It's more than 2.
Let me just qualify that and get my numbers right.
And let's all remember as we
they've
do
got
this.
33. They've got 33 now. They're probably going to pick up another 1, so they'll have 34 in a 47-seat chamber.
Yeah, I mean, but
So
this is
tell
the
me
South
again about
Australian
that orange
chamber.
tsunami.
So-
Fuck me, Dad.
Let's not get too carried away, because I find like there's a lot of people who are like, oh, look at the election result. It's like, in South Australia. It's not federal. This isn't a big deal. This is fucking South Australia. Like, who gives a shit? I'm sorry, people in Adelaide, we love you, but like, who gives a shit?
We saw the 2% in that election in 2022, and One Nation have not had much of a base in South Australia historically. So look, yes, they are. And they are going through a surge at the moment, but it is all pretty much on the back of the collapse of the Liberal vote.
Yeah.
And well, in South Australia, the Nationals do run, which I was quite surprised about. Very, very minor party status in South Australia.
Tiny percentage
Really,
of the
no,
vote.
yes, tiny weenie, about 0.27 of the vote.
All up of the entire state. Yeah, it was fucking tiny.
But in the eastern states, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, it's the Nats who probably have a little bit more to worry about. But the Libs, well, the coalition generally, they've got plenty to worry about from One Nation. Labor, not so much.
No, they don't. So Labor in South Australia controls the upper house, or retains control of the upper house, which is a legislative carte blanche, which is French for white card. And especially when you consider the members of like Labor caucus, they can't cross the floor. So there's none of this like vote trading shit. No, you just propose legislation and it passes.
Bang, bang.
That's all there is to it. Like when John Howard did that, and it was terrifying.
If you're a premier like Malinauskas, you are in the sweet spot. He did have it. As I say, as you said, Joel, had the majority in both houses in the first place.
Yes. And I say you did rightly say you said that because you have done all the research this week. Bless your heart and thank you for doing that. Let's all give one to Jack because it's the university sucks. I'm struggling. So look, the one downside is that the election of Cory Bernardi happened and he really should have just never had the chance to climb out of the dustbin of political history because he is a very unpleasant human being. I just don't want to ever have to think about him again.
I mean, Cory Bernardi's re-election or re-emergence into state politics, of course, he was a Liberal senator.
Yes,
and he
federally.
jumped out of there. Oh, he was terribly disappointed with the way they were treating him and talking about gays too much and all that sort of stuff.
Gays
so
as
then
people.
He jumped on the crossbench, and then he started the Conservative Party, and then he coalesced in South Australia with Family First, which was a complete and utter disaster.
Yes, that was.
And so he's kind of like, he owes his political career to the Liberal Party because he's turned on them. He's just a guy who just can't stay out of politics.
How do you fuck up the Conservative Party? You put the Conservative Party on a ballot, and people go, "I'm Conservative, all over that," and it went nowhere. It's so fucking embarrassing.
Family First, who, as we said before, they dropped their vote in the South Australian state election. They've been quite prominent. Yeah. But Family First and the Conservatives was a really bad match, and that was because Family First, they're kind of, what would we call them? They're sort of almost like a DLP type organisation.
Yeah. Psycho-religious people.
And yeah, a little bit like that. But when it comes to things like industrial relations and those sorts of policies, they are very much to the left of Conservatives.
Yeah,
so it was really an uncomfortable sort of coalition.
Yeah, that checks out.
Meanwhile, Labor has refreshed its ranks with some fairly prominent names. Well-connected newbies include Aria Bolkus, daughter of former federal Labor heavyweight Nick Bolkus, recently demised. Shane Rich, who's Susan Close's former Labor campaign manager. She's in Port Adelaide. And Lawrence Ben, Malinauskas' is former economic advisor and son-in-law of federal Labor Trade Minister Don Farrell, another heavyweight. Lawrence Ben has been elected too. So they lost a few cabinet appointees. They lost a few ministers who retired. So they've refreshed nicely.
Yeah. And look, let's face it, Don Farrell is quite a heavyweight in all sense of the term. And, people in families do know things. But yeah, it's an interesting...
He's the toe cutter.
Yeah, Jesus. So the one confirmed One Nation South Australian parliamentarian is David Payton. I guess that's how you pronounce it. The Adelaide Plains deputy mayor who is appearing to win the seat of Nadgerry. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's Engadgery, but I may be wrong.
Look, it's a regional seat 100 kilometres north of Adelaide where he is the deputy mayor, apparently. Oh, no, that would
he
be
had been. Yeah, or the Adelaide Plains.
I'm guessing that's probably a bit north.
Yeah, it's similar sort of Gawler type way.
Either way, look, it had been a safe Liberal seat and now it is not. And the other One Nation candidates in the running are either looking to gain seats from the Libs or independents. Labor, not Liberal, came second in the count.
Sorry, I should say that was in that seat. So even though it was a safe seat, held by the Libs with 13%, right? So that's pretty safe.
That's very safe.
They came third. They came third in the vote count, in the primary vote count. So, yeah, a bit of a disaster there. I did see some electoral bump from David Payton, which referred to Engadgery, which is obviously an Aboriginal or Indigenous title, and he was moving a lot of his bump was based on the old name of the seat, which was the
okay.
sort of Anglican, not Anglo, I should
Anglicised,
say.
yep.
It wasn't Anglicised Indigenous language, but he'd sort of rejected that. Now, I don't know if that was deliberate or was making some stupid statement. I don't know. Of course, One Nation have got a long and very unhappy history with Indigenous Australians, including, Pauline Hanson. That's why she got punted out of the Liberal Party. She's saying disgraceful things about the Liberal Party all the way back in the 90s.
Yep.
I'm not sure whether Payton did this deliberately because the seat has recently changed names. So I don't know whether and it's gone through a redistribution as well, but I don't know whether that was deliberate or just a bit of an accident. But anyway, it looks like David Payton has been elected. That's pretty much confirmed. And they've got a couple of others that might get lucky. But the way the Libs are still very good at postal voting, getting their supporters to come and vote for them. So as postals are counted, not pre-polls, but postals, you'd expect the Libs to sort of make a little bit of a comeback, maybe pick up two or three of those seats in doubt.
To right themselves a bit. So, look, to be clear, what we are witnessing with the rise of One Nation is like a nearly neat pinch of Liberal vote, which combined with preference leakage has basically just given Labor a thumping majority. This is apparently the second largest in South Australian political history.
I believe we're going
brutal.
we're going back to the 1930s or something like that for a bigger
million years ago. So what it comes down to is basically One Nation isn't a blessing for the right; it's a problem for the right.
It is.
And the party of Hanson just splits the right wing vote, and the preferences don't flow back effectively, and Labor wins every fucking time, and by a landslide at this point. It's embarrassing.
And look, the eye will be on David Payton to see if he doesn't fall out with the party hierarchy. In other words, Pauline, quit the party and sit on the crossbenches as an indie, because this has happened so many times before. In 1998 in Queensland, One Nation won 22.8% of the vote. They haven't broken any records in South Australia, but they won 22.8% of the vote, and 11 One Nation candidates were elected to the monocameral parliament in Queensland.
Yes, they do have one
Within a year, all but one had defected.
Yeah.
And this is going to happen again. You just know it's going to happen again.
Yeah, it's going to happen again. Yeah,
I give Payton 12 months before he does the same.
Yeah,
you can set your clock on that, folks.
Totally agree.
In all the babble about orange tsunamis and waves and whatever metaphorical nonsense the media has come up with to describe the result in this election, one thing has been missed. The further One Nation rises, the better off Labor will be. One Nation has destroyed the Liberal vote in South Australia, federally and in state seats in the eastern states. The Nationals, as I said before, probably have more to worry about than the Libs, but both are facing existential crises. Pauline loves all the attention, but really all she's doing is delivering Labor big victories. We've looked at Victoria. Victorians go to the polls in November. The polling there looks especially ugly. For Labor. They are kind of at the very end. There was talk in the Herald Sun, unnamed members of the Socialist Left faction, of which Jacinta Allen is a member, and they were looking around for an alternative because they don't believe she's electable.
Yeah.
But one thing could save the Labor government.
Dan Andrews.
Personally, I don't think this will happen. But if the One Nation vote bites into the Liberal vote, then Labor could see Jacinta Allen, and that would be an absolute chance. It could see the Allen government returned, and that would be an absolute disaster. And the disaster would be laid at the feet of Pauline Hanson and One Nation.
Yeah, it'd be quite funny. Look, I'm always generally just like a sort of partisan cheerleader for Labor because they're at least vaguely on the left side of politics. And you always think, oh, fucking Labor's centre-right now. And like, they're nothing like, it's just like the two same parts. No. Then you get Liberals and you're like, oh, God, I miss Labor. But when it comes down to it, they've been in power for a long time and it's time for a change.
Yeah. It just happens.
The way it is.
Governments reach an end point. And
then they have to try.
Then
Labor has to try.
It would seem that she's unelectable, but they just don't have anyone to replace her. So they would, members of her own faction, which is a dominant faction in Victoria, in the Victorian government, the Socialist Left, we're obviously looking around. I think the right faction was playing funny buggers as well. None of it looks good because they just don't have an alternative. There's not one sitting in the wings they can say, hey, buddy,
Yeah.
do you want to be premier for a few months?
Yeah. That checks out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But if you do get this splintering of One Nation vote, particularly in the regions, rural areas of Victoria, yeah, you never know. Labor might just get back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're saying here. You know, Labor's vote in places like, and I know one of our avid listeners, David, will be thinking about how One Nation is biting into Labor's vote in seats like Hunter, which is a regional seat, mining town or mining electorate, coal mining electorate, etc. But Labor won 40% of the vote.
Yeah.
At last election. Mr. Rapaccioli, the large human being.
He's very large.
And so they've got to make up so much ground.
Be a big swing. Yeah. But they're trying. But yeah, Stuart Bonds is a dangerous candidate who is definitely going to look like a fuckwit toward the end because, I mean, it's not hard to find dirt in this guy. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, well, there's plenty there, of course. The Libs, and I think we actually do mention this, or perhaps not. There was a One Nation candidate for the seat of Adelaide, I think, Joel. I won't stir your thunder on that. He has he had warrants for his arrest issued in the UK.
So not just normal warrants, outstanding ones. I mean, like he got like like some people have okay warrants. This guy has an outstanding one. Oh, well done. Good on you.
I wonder how he got
Good on you.
Perhaps he got his tourist visa. Or maybe there are some circumstances around his.
Well, there's no conviction, so he didn't have to lie, I suppose.
Well, when they were asked about this, Barnaby Joyce said, "Oh, well, we asked and we did police checks and background criminal records checks." Hang on, this bloke's just arrived in Australia. Certainly, the question should have been put to him, and I'd be amazed if it wasn't, but not surprised from One Nation if they said, "Oh." So, if they didn't ask a question, have you ever been charged with an indictable offence?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And you sign your name to it, and it's essentially a statutory declaration.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what?
Anyway.
You know who the real asshole here is? And we'll explain this later. The ABC.
That's right. It's the ABC
what a
that
bunch of pricks.
Caused all those problems.
They
all right,
did.
We're moving on from South Australia. Lovely place is Adelaide. I'm not one of these people who wants to bag Adelaide. It's a bit fucking great
quiet.
city.
Yeah.
And really in a really positive place at the moment. And part of that is Malinauskas is major events. Dragging people that way, dragging people into Adelaide. So good luck to him, and we'll move on now with this extraordinary story. New York Times report on March 16, over a week ago, reveals the US State Department under Marco Rubio is using health aid in Zambia as leverage for a critical minerals deal with the Central African nation.
Yeah, so you see 1.3 million, give or take, people in Zambia rely on daily HIV treatment that is provided through the decades-old US President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, otherwise known as PEPFAR. And on tuberculosis and malaria medications, they save tens of thousands of Zambian lives each year. And that's great. But the New York Times obtained a draft memo prepared from Marco Rubio from the State Department's Africa Bureau, and the Trump administration is considering whether to, quote, significantly cut assistance as soon as May to increase pressure on Zambia, the memo says.
Yeah, there's a bit of back and forth diplomatically on this. In previous administrations, the US has been sceptical about aid of this type falling into the wrong hands in Zambia.
Sure.
Zambia is ranked 92 out of 180 nations around the world in terms of corruption by Transparency International. It's not great, not bad.
Not great.
Not awful, as far as Africa goes anyway.
To be fair.
But the big pushes come from the Trump administration's demands for rare minerals or rare metals. Zambia is one of the biggest suppliers of the world's copper. And where there's copper in large quantities, there's generally cobalt. 70% of Zambia's foreign exchange is driven by exports of raw and refined copper. Switzerland is Zambia's biggest trading partner, commanding more than 40% of total exports, with China coming in second place.
Yeah. But of course, China, like anywhere in bloody Africa, buys Zambian copper, cobalt, lithium, and nickel, and a quarter of all copper exports from Zambia go to China, which is, a reasonable amount. But the US is also receiving Zambian exports, mostly copper, but it's making up less than 12% of sales of copper alone, at least, compared to China.
Yeah,
so
about 1/8 of the sales.
So they're not doing the same
Zambian
volume.
Copper.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. A lot of it's a little bit blurry in that you can dig up copper and export it, or dig it up and then refine it and then export it. So
Yeah,
under
okay. Is
both
it raw
of
or
those,
refined? Yeah.
under both of those schemes, you've got the Chinese with about $8 billion in purchases of Zambian copper, and the Americans is about 123 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a lot. It's quite a big difference. And so now the Trump admin wants a deal. They love a deal.
Sure,
It's actually been pushing the Zambian government to enter into negotiations on rare earth minerals, but the State Department's Africa Bureau claims that when the issue was raised with the Zambian government, the Zambians have become a little bit shy. They go, look over there. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Over there.
Rare earth minerals, what are they? So let's just get down to the fact that we're not going to sugarcoat the situation. Zambia is a republic governed by a democratically elected president and a unicameral National Assembly. It makes it much easier to get things through. President Hakainde Hichilema, is that
Yes,
how you say it?
Hichilema, yeah.
Was elected in 2021. So we're going to set the stage for the fact whether this is a big pot of corruption or not, and we'll go straight down the line.
Yeah. Well, in the 2021 general elections, characterised by a 70% voter turnout, that's good for Africa. Hichilema won 59% of the vote, with his closest rival, the incumbent president, Edgar Lungu, receiving 39% of the vote. And so, this is a functioning democracy.
Yeah. That's important to establish in the situation, especially when you were saying there was concerns around corruption, especially when it comes to the distribution of HIV. This isn't a complete banana republic. It's not a complete crackpot state.
Well, have a listen to this, Joel. In those 2021 general elections, Edgar Lungu, the incumbent president, conceded in a TV statement, sending a letter and congratulating President-elect Hakainde Hichilema. So, you could argue that the Zambians do democracy better than the Americans.
Well, Trump has not been a big fan of concessions.
But now the pressure is back on the Zambians, Joel.
Yeah, so
as the NYT reported, sorry.
Yes, this is the New York Times. Yeah, so in the wake of the Trump administration's broad cut to foreign aid last year, the State Department has been pushing countries to sign new agreements pledging to meet certain conditions to receive American funds. 24 countries have signed agreements so far, worth a total of $20 billion in health aid over 5 years. And in most cases, the main requirement on the recipient country is that the government commit to increasing its own health spending. This is like that NATO shit. You got to spend more on fucking arms. Like,
but don't,
what? There's
for
no
God's
money.
sake, don't ask about the sort of savings the Trump administration under Bobby Kennedy is making in their public health. The Zimbabweans recently walked away. Zimbabwe and Zambia are very closely related, Joel. Zambia is northern Rhodesia, or used to be northern Rhodesia, and Zimbabwe, of course, is southern Rhodesia. And they've gone through a hell of a difficult time with essentially apartheid in place there for a very long time. So the Zimbabweans have walked away from their negotiations with the United States, and Kenya's agreement with the United States being tested in the Kenyan courts. Zambia has been reluctant to sign. It has suffered, like many other African nations, from savage cuts to the USAID program.
How did that come about, though? Like, why would there be cuts to the USAID program? I can't imagine any,
there you go.
Reason why
how many times
that
do
would
we have
happen.
to say this, that drug-addled clown, Musk, and his
Doge children,
little tweed Doge children, little preppy Doge children,
little fucking
running around
psychos.
causing all sorts of mayhem. And we've run through, I don't want to go into the numbers because I don't have them to hand, but we've run through the sort of projections by 2030, how many people will die as a result of USAID funding cuts. And it's millions. It's millions and millions of people.
Millions of people that Elon Musk doesn't see as human.
Yeah, exactly right. Anyway, according to the NYT, I should say.
Yeah, back at the time. So the United States proposes to give Zambia $1 billion in health funding over 5 years if Zambia commits $340 million in new health spending on its own. Okay. Now, this is less than half of the amount of health assistance Zambia received before the Trump administration took office. So don't take that $1 billion figure and think it's
let's
generous.
just park that for a moment.
Yeah.
So they're saying we'll give you $1 billion. We used to give you $2 billion, but we're going to give you $1 billion. But you're also going to have to stump up $340 million. Otherwise, no deal.
Yeah. And
Anyway,
also, like,
go on. That's the first part. Go on
ponying
with
up the
rest of it,
minerals,
John.
but how are they going to have any people to do the minerals when there's no children? That's how you get minerals. Children. Margaret Thatcher knew that. Everyone knows that. The second part is an agreement on steps that would give American businesses more access to Zambia's vast mineral deposits and, by extension, end what the United States sees as China's preferential access to Zambian mines, which through years and years of soft diplomacy and economic stimulus is probably the case, but whatever. This is psycho shit. The third is a renegotiation of a contract with the Millennium Challenge Corporation, an American foreign assistance agency focused on economic governance. And the original contract signed in 2024 gave Zambia a $450 million grant to support its agricultural sector. The Trump administration wants it restructured to require regulatory changes in mining and other industries. I'm guessing to get the kids in the fucking mines.
Yeah, long story short, the US wants Zambian copper and rare minerals and is prepared to make cuts to health aid, which will threaten the lives of thousands of Zambians through HIV, measles, and a sudden spike that Zambia is going through in tuberculosis cases. The Trump administration believes the Zambians would have signed up to the three-stage agreement, but the Zambians have gone a bit quiet.
Chinese
the bigger question is, why would the Zambian government enter into an agreement with the US on trade where the US has been so quixotic, unreliable on tariffs since Trump's second term began? Copper and related products are exempt from US tariffs, but Zambia's textile and agricultural industries face a 15% tariff on all exports into the United States, and that's been bouncing all around the place, ever since Liberation Day.
Yeah.
The figure has been raised suddenly on Trump's whims, but is back at 15% now.
Yeah.
Wanting to break a trade dominance with China is one thing, but essentially sticking a gun to the head of an emerging nation and saying, sign this or the kids get it, is an ugly business even by Trumpian standards. And what would prevent the CCP from offering a similar package of aid without strings attached, other than let's keep the copper rolling in, please? What's wrong with China? This is why China's just sitting back quietly while the Trump administration basically walks into walls, and they are scooping it all up. There's really no doubt in my mind that economically China is the biggest country in the world now, or is the most influential country in the world now. And militarily, it's not far away either.
Yeah.
Anyway,
checks out.
All of this is a microcosm of Trump's failed trade and tariff policies, and unlike pretty much anything Trump does, there is a sting in the tail for any country that refuses its extortionate demands. We're just seeing some really ugly stuff here, listeners, and a lot of this stuff gets, it gets through to the keeper because there's just so much madness going on in and around the Trump administration. Absolute disasters being predicted economically for the globe and for the United States, including long, sustained recessions, not for just 2 quarters, but for perhaps some of the projections I was looking at today, as bad as 8 quarters. So, 2 years of recession.
Yeah, but at least Harris didn't get in.
Yeah, well,
Sweet.
What did Stephen Miller say in a tweet in the before the 24 election? Kamala Harris will send your children off to war. How's that working out, guys?
Yeah, well, yeah.
We can't just leave it there,
No.
But we don't want to sound like we've got a bad case of TDS.
No.
Trump derangement syndrome,
God
or
forbid.
as our conservative friends like to call it, blissfully unaware they have joined the Trump cult. They're the ones deranged here.
Any fucking idiot who says that.
If you're still putting your money on this guy, I don't know what to tell you.
You've got TDS. Oh, sorry. I just think that hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars in crypto scams is bad. That's just TDS, bro. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
so much for your commentary. I'm so glad you exist. So
Rio
look, it's
Finet's
not.
a big one for it. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, sorry, Joel.
So, look, it's not just us. The Wall Street Journal and any other media orgs may have been taking a look at Trump's latest silliness, which is, hilariously enough, I just bought some Florsheim shoes.
Did you know that Florsheim shoes were the company itself was started in America from German immigrants?
I had
So it's
no
a
idea.
Bit of a Trump story, a bit of
All I
Trump-like
knew that
story there.
They had an outlet on Parramatta Road and I had a fucking wedding to go to the other night. That's all I knew. And my last pair of shoes that don't look like fucking some tennis player had a bad week and had to buy the shit ones, they got chewed up by my dog. So, yeah, I had to go to Trump.
Those papas will do that. Anyway, according to the Journal, Joel, let's not say we're just talking about Trump.
No.
The Journal's talking about
The
Trump.
Journal. Yeah, we like journals. So the 79-year-old billionaire known for expensive Brioni suits, long red ties, and a penchant for aesthetics, late last year began searching for something that would feel better after a day on the job and settled on Florsheim, which does have, just as a side note, the Comfortech insoles, which I
Wow.
relied on this weekend, and
There you go.
my feet feel great. Trump liked them so much he started dispensing them. He pays for the shoes, the White House said. Well, that's nice to know. So the president has taken to guessing people's shoe size in front of them. He asks an aide to put in an order, and a week later, mine was black, a brown Florsheim box arrives at the White House. Trump sometimes signs the box or attaches a note of gratitude, according to people familiar with the ritual.
So when what appeared to be Secretary of State Marco Rubio wearing shoes that were at least 3 sizes too big, the entire world went crazy. Fact checker Snopes entered the fray, saying it had 2 separate accounts on the Florsheim shoe mystery. J.D. Vance recalled a story where Trump berated him and Rubio over the shoes they wore. Too expensive, girlish, that sort of thing.
So his actual words, according to Vance, were, quote, "You and Marco wear sissy shoes." Jesus.
As Vance tells it, it's a little bit different from the way the Journal has put it together. As Vance tells it, Trump then asked him and Rubio for their shoe sizes. Vance said 13, Rubio 11 and a half. So the Journal makes no mention of this exchange, but if Rubio at 5'10" is an 11 and a half, I will bear my ass in Pitt Street. So Rubio, who's the Secretary of State for the United States of America, he's lied about his shoe size.
That's fucking embarrassing. It is so embarrassing.
Well, maybe little
My
Marco got confused with the average IQ in the room, you know.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? 11 divided 33. Yeah, okay.
That checks out.
Whatevs. Next thing little Marco knows is there is a shiny new pair of Florsheim Oxfords, black, in 11 and a half. And he has taken to wearing them despite the fact that his tiny, girlish feet, possibly bound as a child in the traditional Japanese manner,
Yes.
do not fit him, giving the
No.
appearance of a man wearing clown shoes, which fits, you know. It's a clown show.
It really is very apt,
It's
yes.
your clown shoes, Marco.
Yeah.
In other words, the US Secretary of State is probably a 9, and said 11 and a half because he was too chicken shit to admit to the Donald that he has girls' feet.
I'm a similar height to Rubio, and I have 9.5 shoes, and I can say that is an official Florsheim measurement because that's what I just fucking bought.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's 9.5 UK though. Oh fuck, does that mean 10.5 US? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah. You got me.
Either way, maybe he does have bound feet and was a youth.
I think
Anyway,
it was a Chinese thing, not a Japanese thing. So I do apologize for getting my cultures.
cultural
confused.
sensitivity's never been our forte. J.D. Vance recalled that Trump wisdom denotes that foot size is a corollary of political nous. So that's a strong parallel there. Quote, the president kind of leans back in his chair and says, you know, you can tell a lot of man by his shoe size, Vance said.
And that's from J.D. Vance, yeah.
Jesus.
So while planning mayhem, war and chaos, if we could call it planning, visitors and officials alike to the White House were often bemused to be asked their shoe sizes. Then bingo, pair of Florsheims turns up. The box often signed by Trump with a little note from the Donald inside.
Oh, that's
the
nice.
eerie convo often starts with Trump looking a person up and down, examining the size of their head closely before staring at their feet, doing all manner of
Jesus.
mathematical equations in his head, like a reverse form of phrenology.
Mhm.
You know, big head, giant shoes seems to be the abiding principle.
It's not how this works, bro. It's not how it works. So one unnamed White House official was said to be miffed that he could no longer wear his Louis Vuittons. So, for example, the Louis Vuitton Varenne Richelieu in basic black comes in around $2,000 US. These Florsheims, and I can speak to this I went to an outlet, but they retail for just under $150 US.
$150 US, yeah.
Mine were cheaper. Now, when contacted by the Wall Street Journal, a company spokesperson had no idea about the presence of Florsheim shoes and wisely chose to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, look, we know the Trump administration is full of bootlickers. But this story smacks of all the horror we experienced as children when Mum would take us down to the shoe shop for a new pair of shoes, new pair of school shoes. Mm-hmm. And we never got the Barter Scouts with a compass on the insole we so badly wanted because Mum said no and they were too expensive. So have these cheap jack knockouts without a fucking compass and try and be happy.
How did you know where you were going at any time?
I know. We weren't happy.
Well, no,
we weren't happy.
You were directionless.
There was a lot of crying, wailing, gnashing of teeth. So much so that when Mum got old, I shipped her off to an old people's home for a kerosene, delousy and cut up hot dogs for dinner without a second thought.
Good.
Did you think I was going to forget the shoe shop episodes, mother?
Yeah, you did this to yourself, Mrs. Insider. All right, Mark Mac, that's enough elder abuse one day. Look, I don't want to enable that. That's terrible. I'm not a fucking Farmer Wade. I mean, sorry. Bless his stroke-ridden face. Look, as is tradition, though, we're pulling the scabs off a lot of things that should really be left alone, and we're going to get right into that. But suffice to say, if you ever meet Trump, don't be surprised if he measures your head, tickles your feet, then buys you a pair of Florsheims that will be too big for Shaquille O'Neal. Although I'm sure your feet can handle it because you're a really smart guy.
Cows have fucking masks on.
Everybody is up for the high jump if they deserve it. If they deserve to hang, they will hang.
Rise up, Australia. Men of Australia, time to step up and be real men. Protect your kids or go down biggest cowards this country has ever seen. Hang them animals.
It has been a while since we looked at the Cookieverse, and I know a lot of our listeners miss it, and bless your hearts, I'm trying to keep up. But look, the sweet smell of Monica's hair, the salty smell of Guru's chin. Well, today, listeners, we have a little bit of both.
More than salty, I would imagine. But anyway,
yeah,
festering.
Yeah, it's not great. And in their favourite places to pass time, courtrooms.
Yay!
Now, Monica, the true courtroom connoisseur, has been appealing the cost order placed on her after winning her case, but not taking a settlement offer. Look up Calderbank offer if we haven't set it up a million times already.
That, yes.
And this, unfortunately, this settlement offer was in excess of what she was eventually awarded by the judge, and that means she has to pay the state's costs. That is a thing. Now, she has made it quite clear that she knew this was the case. This wasn't something that was surprising her, and she didn't want to take the hush money and walk away. Of course, said hush money, there was no hush money. There was no strings attached. She could say whatever the fuck she wanted. The state of Victoria has made this very clear in their pleadings. It is terrible. But she wanted an apology. Now, that is an interesting thing that I didn't have to think about until the other day because I caught a bit of the live stream when I was driving to a job, and there were some funny moments that I vaguely remember. And I couldn't take notes because I was driving and trying not to kill anyone. So I'm just going to try and get through this without fucking it up. One of the justices made a very good point, and I like this. This is cool. So when Monica was saying that she was pursuing this out of public interest and that a settlement was not what was necessarily all about, she wanted an apology. Good on you, Mon. That's all right. You know, you got to stand up to the state. You know, you can't let them walk all over you.
Say sorry to me. Vindicate me.
But the justice quite rightly said, and this makes a lot of sense, you can't really compel someone to make an apology. I mean, it's not genuine if it's forced. So this is something that I think a lot of us learned a long time ago. Most of us as children, when an adult or someone just generally related to you would say that, you know, you have to apologize for this. They'd make you apologize. And you knew you were in the wrong. At
the shoe shop. Yeah, often at the shoe shop for me, yeah.
Well, that was where you did your worst crimes. But the reality is, you know you'd done the wrong thing. You didn't fucking care. You weren't interested in apologizing, but you did the apology because you knew the consequences were worse than the fucking squeeze.
Bart Simpson, master at it.
Sorry. Oh, you could just feel the remorse coming off the tongue there. You know, the genuine sense that if you had your time again, things would be different. But that's not really how the world works. It's just not.
No. Now, look, I was also amused, Joel, and I hope that I have a... Oh, yes, you have. So we shall move on.
Of course I've done the research.
Yes.
Go on. So she had submissions to court on paper, and so the hearing was a bit of a sort of chat. And chat she did, of course, but she seemed to kind of forget what she was going for. She said that the award she was given, the damages she was given, it was absolutely within the scope of damages that are usually awarded for what she endured for a false arrest. Now, I didn't actually know this point of law, but apparently it's not a matter of appeal if it's within the range of damages. It might be on the low side. Yeah. Maybe Her Honour had reasons for that.
But it's in the range.
Yeah. It's in the range. It's in the range. So it seems that, and unfortunately, this is what I took from the stream here, that it's outside the range. It's definitely outside the range. No, there is no appeal there. Monica backtracked on this, which was very funny. She did it quite quickly, and she was more saying, but I think I said something different in my written submissions, which makes me think that she neither wrote nor read said submissions.
Hello, Google Gemini.
Yeah.
Do my law talking for me.
If you're lucky.
But who has time to read? Reading takes ages. It is boring. It's essentially for nerds. Monica is no nerd, but you know who is? Justice Richards on the Supreme Court, Victorian Supreme Court of Appeal. And we, with great thanks to a tremendous friend of the podcast, Vexatious Litigant, for this banger. Monica said, "You're much faster readers than the average person," to which Justice Richards replied, "It comes with the practice. It comes with practice, Ms. Smith." What a nerd. Look at it. Look, guys. Look at what we got over here. We got us a reader.
Let's bash him. So, look, despite this, Monica is actually a reader. Well, so she said.
She's a bit slow.
Well, so she's selfish. No. I saw her. She was halfway through a big old pile of things.
She's just not quick.
She was there with a binder. There was a big binder. There was a lot of paper. It was a big, thick binder. There was highlighting, a printed text, and there was also a little screen, a very small screen. Come on, man, just like it's $100, get an upgrade. But it featured her online store. So when she's not perusing her binder, she's looking for her own merch, which is incredibly funny. That is a very cheeky bit of product placement that was absolutely not lost on me.
She was just hoping the camera might pan across and see it, and people would, be drawn to it.
Absolutely.
In this kind of subliminal way.
Well, I mean, she was taking the selfies.
Millions and millions of sales of merch.
I think we can say quite confidently that one of Monica's first commandments is never let a good court case go to waste. And the idea that her website is
never a good public relations opportunity to go to waste.
She's very good. So the judgment on her appeal has been reserved and will be out in a few months. As usual, the silks of the state of Victoria were boring as fuck, procedural, and probably legally correct. Monica, filled with pluck, was arguing something.
Yeah.
It was something. I'm not sure what it was. There were written submissions. There was a lot of vibe. She's arguing something. And I mean, best of luck, mate. You've taken a punt. You fucked it. And now you've come back for your hat. And I guess that's just funny.
Damn it. She's had to do a lot of reading.
She has. Well, according to the selfie, although I question how much of that binder she got through, considering how absolutely fucking clueless she was when she was speaking. So, look, to finish Monica's latest antics, and that was definitely pun intended, she was at the South Australia One Nation election party.
Ooh.
Now, who paid for that? Did Gina pay her bus fare? Who knows? I don't know. Interesting. Looks like an economy seat on Jetstar in a room at the local Best Western has got her pretty keen on One Nation, and we are likely to see her shilling for her orange mates in the coming months.
She was very sycophantic in little bits that I saw, yes.
Yeah, so look, it's pretty gross. I'm not hugely surprised this is where she's going. She really wanted to reform the Liberal Party in her own image, and it turns out that's just not going to happen. Sorry,
so it happened without her, Seems to have been everyone was waiting for Monica Smith to sort of leave the arena, so the Liberal Party could go out and destroy itself.
Yeah, I mean, like really, if it wasn't for her, they would have imploded years ago. But of course, the other matter of utmost legal importance is the defamation case, which has pit Dave Guru Graham and Catherine Gibson against David Bottrell, who has a history of suing people who platform a lad named Luke McKee, who has decided that Bottrell is a rather nasty character with a penchant for cracking open babies and drinking them like a shoey.
Again there, Joe.
Oh, my friend, I
speak a pension, mate.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say he's on the pension, mate. He seems like he's well-to-do. So, look, despite being busy as fucking struggling for a spare moment at the moment, I'm dying and disappointed in a semester at law school, and my brain is fucked. I could not pass up the opportunity to pop over to the Downing Centre after class and have a squiz at what has been an absolute fucking clown show of legal chaos. Guru has had
Past tense, yes.
pro bono legal representation. I don't understand how. They withdrew their consent. They withdrew their instructions, and he withdrew with consent, which essentially means, from what I know, because I don't know, probably got like 60 in fucking litigation. Basically, they said like, fuck this, and Guru said, fine,
take this job and shove it.
Yeah, and that's not good, because like that kind of comes back later. So this is what I saw on the day. I posted on Facebook shitposting group. I'm going to paraphrase a bit here, but I'm going to also elaborate a bit. We'll get to a midpoint. So the purpose of the hearing was an application to adjourn like the entire thing. Now, I don't really know what the plan was there, how long the adjournment was going to be for, whatever, but it was lodged by Guru at absolute last minute. And I mean, like, this was the other day on a Thursday, and the bloody thing started on the Monday. The judge was pissed off that this happened at the last minute, because it's just like, man,
he or she could.
She, yeah.
As she should be, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the plaintiff's lawyers were in person. Everyone else was on AVL. There was Guru, and he has this giant skin-coloured sort of Band-Aid over his lip and jaw. It's looking pretty rough. He keeps on wiping it with a cloth, so it's weeping, I guess. I don't know what's going on. He has his hair.
You want to give it a good squeezing. Do you feel like you just got to get up and just give it a good squeezing and just splatter everyone in about a 5 metre radius?
There is a return on investment when it comes to squeezing stuff, and this one is far outside the radius of joy.
Yeah. You don't want to get near that. You don't want to. You don't want to squeeze that.
No, this is not a molehill; it's a mountain. But look, it is what it is, and he's looking pretty rough. He's got his hair, so that's nice. So I guess either no chemo, or maybe chemo a while ago, or maybe like one of those nice chemos that don't kill your hair. But he's having a little bit of trouble speaking. It's not great, which was apparently part of the reason for adjournment. He's also saying he's very affected by his painkillers. So he's clearly not having a good time because something hurts.
I mean, it's sad, isn't it?
Taking a bunch of fucking opiates, apparently. So everyone else had their full name on the AVL at the time. Guru just had Dave. It's just Dave. It's just Dave, mate. You know, don't need
we're in the district court.
You fucking know I am. It's Downing Centre. Yeah.
Downing Centre, it'd be a district court, though.
Yeah. So he asked for leave from the court to appear by AVL on Monday, and this was granted. Now, Kath had already had this granted due to being in Tasmania and had these care obligations. So she'd gone through like the usual channels. Totally fair enough. But Guru suddenly realized that traveling to Sydney might suck a bit. Now, one of the reasons he stated, which was very, very much under the breath and quite sheepish and half word, was he was saying he had an issue with immunity. So I don't know. Maybe he's on chemo. Maybe he's not. Maybe his hair can just defy
it's
chemo.
It's quite likely, Joel. Yeah.
I don't know. So look,
we don't know for sure, but if you've had a decent blast of chemo, even if it was months ago, you're still.
Your immune system fucking sucks.
Yeah, your immune system's going to be all over the shop.
So the judge has had fucking enough of this. Basically, what do you need to do, which she explained several times to him, was to send an email to her associate explaining why the hearing should be adjourned. Now, this would include, say, medical documentation. He has until 5 p.m. to do this, okay? And this is in the afternoon. He thought this was an affidavit. She told him it's not. He said something about it being a stat dec. It's not. Something about making it cross-examinable, which just no one knew what the fuck he was talking about. And then he said he was going to have trouble finding a solicitor this afternoon to get that sorted out. He doesn't need one. He doesn't need. It's an email, Dave. It's an email, Dave. Just send the fucking email.
I remember. I remember reading your post, and the judge said, "Just it's just an email to my associate.
Just send the fucking email."
Yeah.
But the best part was when the judge was so fucking annoyed and was just like, "David, please just repeat to me what you have to do." And he's like, "Oh, I have to send an email by 5 p.m. with my adjournment." It's like, yes, move on. Fuck me. So she also said something like, "I know you have my associate's email address from previous correspondence," and it was in a tone that just said, "You know my fucking associate's because I've seen what you sent her and it sucks." Like that was the tone. I'm putting words in her mouth in that regard, but honestly, it was just this like, "Oh yeah, no, you know exactly where that goes." And there were surprisingly no supporters in the gallery. They were just uni students, and there was like 8 of them, and they were likely supporting a random courtroom, which is something we do in first year.
Those kids, they're doomed.
I love that this was their exposure to litigation. It's so good.
They'll either say, "I don't want to do law anymore," or they will fail.
I do find that self-represented litigants are really, really good to learn law because they get pulled up a lot And the judge explains why.
Maybe that's true. Yeah.
So when you're looking at professionals, it's just boring. They just reel off shit.
I'm thinking defence, and the best form of defence, Joe, is attack.
Is offense. Yeah,
and so the gurus had said, look, I called McDonald's, this massive American corporation. I said they were basically
churning
babies, human babies into Big Macs and cheeseburgers, and no one said anything. No one's done anything, So, all I've done here is bit the same.
So what's this shit? It's just no big deal. Yeah. Right. He kind of did come to that later the next day. So Guru has no longer got the legal representation from the lawyer. Someone Singh, I'm not sure, but God, I can imagine the racist, weird things he would have said. But look, for some reason, this guy was acting pro bono of a charity of his heart by the sounds of things. I don't know.
You've got to wonder about that too.
You've really got to wonder about that. But it appears the lawyer got jack of his bullshit and bailed. Now, this was accepted by the judge, who you can see wasn't actually very happy about the situation because Guru is now self-representing again. So this is, of course, going to be a factor in the decision of whether to adjourn or not, because it was apparent that both Guru and Kath had no fucking idea what they're doing and no plan whatsoever, which is a massive procedural fairness issue. But man, he's had enough time. They've had every opportunity. So Kath, who I don't really know very well, she was clearly shaken. The thing that's sort of frustrating about cookers is that they never seem to learn their lesson. So you got these people out there calling people pedophiles without evidence. That's really bad. You shouldn't do that. But Guru's not the type to learn lessons. He's a lesson teacher, not taker.
That's right.
This Kath character is a lot more modest. She's visibly shitting herself on the AVL. I think she's learned a lesson and then some. I heard that she was apparently playing Amazing Grace on her phone speaker before the judge arrived. I don't know whether she knew her microphone was on, but that is it's cringe and inappropriate, but it also just shows it's just sort of sad. She's sad.
She sounds like she's a little bit traumatized.
She's just not doing well. And there's so many other factors of her life that just seem to suck. I wouldn't trade places. So the pro bono lawyers were on the AVL the other day. The barrister was excused by the judge quite specifically because there was just no point in being there. And there was a junior lawyer with the surname Singh, remaining on the call. But you could see her eyes. She was just clearly doing other shit at the time, probably looking fucking Facebook or something, because there was just nothing going on for her. There was no reason.
This is no longer our problem.
Yes, we have left the building. Leave us alone. I'll be very surprised to see that. Well, I was very surprised to see that went ahead on Monday because basically,
this has been dragging out for months. So the judge is losing patience.
The first statement of claim, I think, was issued in. I think the first communications were in 2024. This is an old thing.
It's been going on for a while.
There's a lot of expenses being put into this. And that's the thing. When it comes down to this idea that Guru's going to adjourn and all this sort of stuff, people have bought airfares and accommodation to be at this hearing that he's cancelling at the last minute. You're going to pay that. You're going to pay at least 70% of that. What are you thinking? This is a bad move.
I mean, look, it'll be the airfares plus.
Yeah. Oh, totally. The only thing you won't pay for is the sandwiches. And that is if the judge is being nice. If it just gives you ordinary cost. If it gives the bloody indemnity cost, then you pay for everything. You pay for the sandwich. Fucking hell. So, not like any of it's actually going to ever be recovered anyway. So fucking whatever. So Guru basically tried to have this thing delayed. Kath was asked if she wanted delayed, and it was great because she was like, oh, yeah, sure, no worries. Yeah, I'll have that, yeah. And then the judge was like, oh, no, but you have to send an email with your reasons why you want it adjourned. And she was like, oh, can I just not oppose it? Is that okay to just support it in principle and be a friend? And basically that's what's happened here, because I would imagine the situation there, whether Kath realized it or not, is that whoever supports this adjournment is going to be responsible for that extra day in court. And that extra day in court is going to go to the two lawyers acting for Bottrell, and it's going to cost a whole bunch of money. So 10
grand.
Guru will be up for, maybe. I don't know. It was only it was an hour or so of appearance, but I tell you what, it's not going to be cheap regardless. A few grand still fucking hurts. So the adjournment didn't happen, right? That was the general decision, and some of the reason for that was that Guru gave consent to his legal team to withdraw, which is that thing of saying basically, I give you the green light to withdraw because I've got control of this, and Guru's got control of everything except for this court case, which he has absolutely no control of whatsoever, which becomes so fucking apparent later. Look, there's a lot of unknowns here, so I'm going to try and stitch together. I do want to go again tomorrow, but I did go again today, and today being the Tuesday, I have uni tomorrow, and I'm not sure if I can do it. But look, I got there just in time to see friend of the podcast Rod Swift in the hot seat with Guru cross-examining. Whew. Wow. Now, on entry, the bailiff actually asked me if I was media, and I told her, which is true, that I was a law student, but I did feel remiss in not mentioning I'm a podcaster and friend of one of the witnesses. So, yeah. But, I mean, look, I'm a podcaster. Podcast is not media. RVM's not a journalist. Everyone just pipe down. It's fine. This is just, whatever the fuck Elon Musk says, citizen journalism. No, it's not that. It's just terrible. So, look, Kath wasn't there on the feed. She wasn't even there virtually. And the judge explained that she had some issues on the day, personal issues, family issues. I'm not going to repeat them here. And the judge offered her opportunities to show up. And this is including an adjournment in the morning so she could participate later on. But all the consequence there is that if she's not there, she can't cross-examine, she can't participate in the trial. I don't think her presence makes any difference to this fucking thing. So I'm sure there'll be this sort of bleating out procedural fairness later on when all is said and done. But my God, they've been given so many opportunities to make things work. Guru has, of course, as I say, a very large skin color advantage over the lower party's lip and chin. He's having tons of trouble speaking here, but he's charging through and he's going to fucking ask some fucking questions. The backdrop with his usual koala and sack the lot posters is obscured by guitar and other random things, which I assume is a very intentional move to try to avoid looking like a bit of a fuckwit. But if you look at it in retrospect, Guru's questioning was mostly pointless. He asserted that Rod was an expert in Twitter for some reason. Probed him about his Twitter accounts and what their purpose was. I don't know where he was really going with that. The judge tried to be patient, but he just kept on overstepping. And it wasn't like rules of evidence shit. It was like rules of like basic decency. So Guru suggested that Rod used Twitter to troll the man who has made these defamatory statements that the Guru has allegedly published, which is Luke McKee. And the judge took issue with this language as ambiguous and sort of went nowhere. So he sort of dropped that. What does trolling mean? What does trolling mean?
Yeah,
Guru was getting more and more frustrated by this because he's like, I don't know what fucking trolling means. Shut the fuck up. So
was he swearing? Was he swearing in the court?
He did a couple of times. So it seems his legal argument was basically the Twitter space in question was essentially produced by Twitter. So they host it. They provide the means to record it. So how could he possibly be the publisher, bro? Oh, man, I'm going to set legal precedent today.
Send your writs to Elon Musk.
I know, right? So Guru tried to explain this several times rather badly, and he kept on repeating himself. The judge basically had to say, I know what you're trying to say, bro. This isn't complex. I know what your argument is here. Move on. There was this whole rambling thing about how the first part was actually about Ben Fordham and Cooker Watch, something to do with the name of the space being related to that. I don't care. No one cared. He didn't get the date of the broadcast in question correct. He kept up like 24th, 26th, January, who knows? Like, okay. He also suggested that McKee had been on 2,000 spaces regurgitating the same shit.
He said that, did he?
Yeah,
he actually said that.
Yeah. And then tried to get Rod to confirm that, which doesn't make right. Oh yes, I have been in 2,000 spaces with Luke McKee, and he said the same thing 2,000 times. It's just fucking insane. Apparently, Guru claims this 2,000 figure from the Twitter dashboard. Do you know what that is?
No,
I don't know what the Twitter dashboard is.
No.
I don't know.
I've never seen the Twitter dashboard.
2,000 spaces, Jack. Twitter dashboard. Get with it. So at one point, the judge told Guru not to bully Rod for an answer, and Guru suggested that Rod was being coached on his answers because he kept on looking to the side. Now, unfortunately, with the AVL, he actually can't see that the cameras are mirrored, so he keeps on looking to the side that doesn't look like he's looking at the judge. But he's looking at the judge because Guru keeps on asking questions, and he just looks at the judge being like, are you going to let this one go? Because I'll answer it.
Yeah.
But like, you can pull him up on this because this is a terrible question that shouldn't exist. And for the most part, she did, which of course just made him increasingly frustrated. And at one point, I love this. This was so good because this just tickles me in a certain spot. Said, do you understand? And he said, I comprehend.
Je comprends.
For those who don't immediately understand, there is a classic subset thing where saying understood is to stand under a point of authority, and he will not be standing under anyone.
Okay.
So that's why he said comprehend. He's doing great. He's slipping in subset shit. It's real cute. He also said something along the lines, and like I say, these aren't direct quotes because I had to tap this shit out of my laptop. He referred to Luke McKee, who is difficult to legally pursue as he's over in Vietnam. So, like, that's one of the reasons why. It's a jurisdictional nightmare. So they go after him, not Luke McKee, because they're basically trying to stop people from platforming Luke McKee with their fucking, platforms like Guru's got. And he's a honeypot for more cases. And then went on to say,
what?
I couldn't even get a jury. It's a losing case. You know that.
You'll be thankful, Dave, that you didn't have a jury of 4, wouldn't it be, in a civil case? Because that's going to cost you a fucking shitload more money.
Yeah, and also, like, there's just no jury. It was so bad. And then he said, how can I make good my defense when I can't even get it adjourned to be prepared? And the judge, quite simply...
Still talking about that? Yeah, this wouldn't have gone over well.
She said, I will not reconsider your application for adjournment. Just as simple as that. I'm not reconsidering it. You're not going to have a sook and change my mind. This tantrum isn't going to be the thing that makes me go, oh, maybe I did make an error in my judgment previously. I think we're going to put this one off until 2029. Like, no. But this was one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, and my God, it made the entire thing work. Guru said, it's unjust. I object. And the judge was like, are you done? And he's like, no further questions. I object. Are you in a fucking Law and Order episode? Like, and if you are, which character are you? Because I'm really not sure which part of a Law and Order episode you would make outside of the Subset episode that they probably ran at one point to make a fucking example of cooked people making fucking courtrooms a mockery. Anyway, so once he was done, but his mic wasn't turned off, he said, that was an absolute joke. And the judge said, beg your pardon, Mr. Graham? And he said, oh, I'm talking to my wife. Good. Great work. Not perfect. Yeah. So next was David Bottrell on the stand, who, sort of like the plaintiff, basically did a very boring, normal examination in chief from the barrister, who apparently is Michael Kirby's nephew. There you go. What a world. Okay. Basically, David is not a pedophile. I'll say that on the record. He does not eat babies. And he doesn't actually like that being said about him in public. But also, and quite
I think most people fall into that category, don't they?
Oh, look, I'm here nor there, without prejudice. I say that without prejudice.
Yeah.
But look,
everyone's calling me a pedophile. You can expect a concerns notice in the mail.
Yeah, we'll be having a chat, and I'll see you at the Downing Centre. But yeah, basically having unhinged people thinking that might be the case was a worry for him, and that's quite reasonable. Yeah, that's fair.
That's quite reasonable, yes.
Yeah, I just whatever. But look, that's obviously the funny part. But unfortunately, we're going to have to cut you short here because the funny part was going to be Guru's cross-examination of David. And that didn't happen.
That was going to be that's going to be the gold.
That's the gold. But you see, what happened was Guru's had a long day. Late in the afternoon. It wasn't late in the afternoon. It was hours ago. But like that subset we saw, who was like, oh, Your Honor, I'm tired. I think we need to come back tomorrow. It was like that. It was
That's
like,
right.
mate, like my painkillers have just kicked in. I'm tired. I haven't prepared anything. He's been writing notes furiously, but clearly they're just all like fucking Simpsons fucking scribbles. Like there's just nothing there. It's just Bart Simpson like farting on something. Like there's just nothing going on. And he's just like, he's not ready. Now, to be fair, the judge was like pretty good on this one and said, okay, look, and he made a good legal argument, which was, well, Kraft's not here, so we've got heaps of time. I don't know if that was a great legal argument, but it worked.
Heaps of time. Your Honor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Does he use these things in court, Your Honor, etc.?
He does say a bit of that. Yeah. He's not too bad, but he'd just be putting contempt, I imagine, if he took the piss too hard. And when he gets fired up, The judge gives him so much leeway. It's insane. Well, it's actually kind of reasonable. Self-rep. So, yeah, but he also has an ace up his sleeve, which is a special witness who will be on the AVL tomorrow. I'm not going to say who that is, and I may or may not be able to report on this later, but we'll see how we go. But the thing that was very funny with Guru is that he continually keeps on insinuating that he's lost the case, which I just don't see that as being a good defense. But he did arc up a little bit and said that he wants a fair fight. I don't know what that means, but what it needed was for Guru to be
car park, mate. Out in the car park, go your hardest.
I don't think he'd do well at the moment. I think he's
so.
a little bit underweight.
One whack in the jaw. You're going to walk away with a very wet, moist fist.
Oh my God!
And
Because you don't know.
He's going to be covered in whatever the fuck that is. Pus, maybe.
You don't
Pus
know.
and cum and shit and piss. Ugh.
What I can see in my head is the reality of the situation, and
I'm guessing it'll be yellow. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think it's just see-through.
The seepage.
I think it's just clear.
the seepage that'll come from his his tumor.
He wipes it a lot. It's like
you wouldn't want to. If he does bundle you up, Judd, please don't shake hands with him.
Yeah, he's not washing it, I'm sure. No. Washing hands is for communists. Anyway, so look, I'm seeing this situation as being pretty fucking grim. There's really no good outcome for any of this except for Guru basically just not paying the fucking judgment. But, you know, he's having a bad time. He's having a very bad time. I got to say, I really do want to go tomorrow. The fact the judge is allowing this surprise witness is insane. So it's probably going to be worth skipping class 4. I might be able to get half a class in if it goes as long as I think it's going to go, which I honestly think they're starting early because they lost time today, but I don't think they're going to fucking need it.
Yeah.
They're going to bring this witness in. It's going to last 10 minutes.
It's not going to be a feat of great efficiency, this particular case.
But
I wouldn't have thought.
It's going to be this thing of like, so you've witnessed Mr. Bottrell eating babies. Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure it was a baby. Could have been a hamburger.
Sure. Yeah,
Looked
truth
like a baby.
Defense. Yeah, so Guru won, right? Because I said that he eats the babies, and you can't fucking argue with that. It's going to be dumb. Anyway, so look.
Well, I just think, good luck. I hope you can get along because I'd love to hear more about this, but particularly the cross-examination. But the reason for the adjournment, the request for the adjournment, can we seek 3 months, maybe 6 months? And in the end, it got knocked back. But the thought occurs that Dave might be just stretching this out a little bit. Because he may not make this Christmas.
Well, I mean, I don't know his medical advice there, but who knows?
I don't know.
What I can say is that
I don't know either.
He just doesn't really know what to do with this, and I think that freaks him out a bit. But look, at the end of the day, I will try and bring you guys the inside goss, and if I take uni off tomorrow and I fail Succession, I'm doing a crowdfund for the hex that I spent on the fucking subject. But yeah, it's not looking good. And I just want to say, like, as a bit of an aside,
all this bloke had to do, and Kath for that matter, once they got a concerns notice,
apologise, retract,
just apologise, take the pod down,
yes, absolutely,
and engage in correspondence with a solicitor. There may well, or solicitors, and there may well have been a request to cover costs.
Or not save the money and just give it straight to Bottrell. I think like. Yeah. He asked for a nominal sum for pain and suffering. I don't know what that was, but a nominal sum, if he was to be charging a lot of money on that, then that would be constructive perjury because it'd be, But
so 2 years ago was the time to do this, and
they didn't.
And either one of them may lose significant assets.
If they've got them. But yeah, it's really tricky. Like one of the things that was very funny is that Kath apparently says she never received it. But I'm guessing there must have been some kind of formal service because the court's, it's on foot now. Yeah. But Guru confirmed receipt of the concerns notice on his show. So that's good.
Well,
that's good way to make sure that everything goes along smoothly.
Given his background, I'm not sure about Kath, but given they would have used professional process servers, I'd imagine.
I would imagine so, yeah. I just don't know a lot of these ins and outs, but what I can say is that, it's happening now and it's going really, really badly. But I do feel sorry for Kath. She's got a lot going on in her life, and I wish that she could just be sort of cut out of this in a way. But it's just all too late, I guess. The cat's out of the bag, but I feel very sorry for her. She's she seems like she's having a really bad time, which sucks.
Look, if things look dark, and look, if you do get the opportunity to have a quick word to Dave, just tell him, look, Jack said, why don't you run the McDonald's defense?
Yeah, the offense, though, as you said.
Hey, I called them baby-eating monsters, and, nothing happened to me.
Yeah, exactly.
From them.
What could possibly go wrong?
All righty.
We fired you. We sacked you. We dismissed you as what? As garbage, because that's all you are. You're a criminal. You're a traitor. And you're going to the biggest barbecue in history. So from Christmas dinner to you are the dinner.
Thank you. That's what I'll go with.
Being a soft-sit means never having to say, sorry, I committed a bit of fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Soft-sits hate the illegal government.
Yes.
But it is a love-hate relationship because the government is illegal. Soft-sits don't have to pay taxes, right? Well, not so fast. Soft-sits love taxes and more. They love claiming tax rebates. Caesar Munir Wilson. His name's Caesar. It's got to be changed. It's got to have been changed. Anyway, his name is Caesar Munir with a C-A-E-S-A-R, Caesar. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. He's a self-proclaimed sovereign citizen from Minnesota. He may not have viewed the federal government as an entity that held legitimate legal authority over his life.
No.
Judging by the tax filing scams he's charged with, answering in federal court, it's possible he saw it as something else. Fucking ATM for his claims.
Once you find a loophole, you've got to charge through it.
Wilson became a soft-sit more than 10 years ago and has helped his mates with their taxes.
I'm sure that's gone well.
He has been found by a grand jury to have committed enormous fraud against the government, and he is now facing trial for it. A federal indictment alleges Caesar Munir Wilson's fake tax return claims total more than $350 million.
Oh, casual.
Of which the U.S. Treasury Department very generously paid out $19 million.
Not bad.
Only $19 million out of $350 million claim. That's why it's an illegal government, really.
Yes, exactly.
The way I see it, and I imagine Caesar Wilson does too, the illegal government still owes him more than $300 million.
He's made the claim.
And instead of forking it out, the government is persecuting this fine man who only wanted to live in a mansion and buy some crypto. Joel, this source, this comes from an American legal company.
Oh, there you go.
I can't remember the name, but it's made news all over the States. But go on.
Sure, it's a couple of names stitched together. So the charges allege Wilson claimed both he and his wife as businesses, and in addition to illegally using their social security numbers as employer identification numbers, EINs, listed the company addresses as that of the Minnesota state capitol. It's like Wrigley Field
illegal
in
government.
Blues Brothers. Well done.
Yeah.
So after falsely filing that they'd incurred a net operating loss of over $200,000, Wilson received an undeserved return of over $18,000.
$18,000. We're still dealing with just nickels and dimes at the moment, Joe.
At the moment, yes.
But just with once he's cashed that check for $18,000, he appeared to be emboldened by it.
He's getting thirsty.
And he filed returns for 2006 through to 2019 that sought $73 million in tax refunds.
Well, that's more.
Despite his claim that American nationals do not need to pay taxes.
Okay.
His claims were rejected. Undeterred, his 2020 return used a Form 1041 for the Caesar Munir Wilson estate, which listed gambling profits exceeding $11 million and over $24 million in deductions that included $500,000 in farming losses.
Okay.
Mr. Wilson does not have a farm.
Oh, well, that's an issue.
And $11.5 million for bad debt expense.
Okay. Yeah.
He received just under $850,000 from the U.S. Treasury Department. In this case, they've gone, hey, well, you're not having the full $73 million this time.
But look,
we
it's a
will
bad debt
flick you
expense.
$850,000. Hopefully, that'll get you over your farming issues.
Mm-hmm.
But not
we love the
having a farm
farmers.
and all.
We love the farmers.
And if that isn't enough to make you rub your brow, sigh, or do both, the following year, Wilson upped his tax return request to just over $8.5 million, which was approved by the IRS. Wilson allegedly spent his funds on cryptocurrency. Hello.
At the peak,
personal
I'm sure.
expenses. I'd love to
Whatever
see
that
them.
means.
And a house with 5 bedrooms and bathrooms on 63.5 acres in Prior Lake, Minnesota. I've seen the house. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Magnificent lake views, etc. In August 2022, the IRS determined that his amended returns were frivolous and fined him $5,000.
Yes.
I mean, who are the sob sits here, really? He's taken, what have we got here? We've got almost $10 million the feds have bunged him and then gone, hey, something a bit untoward here, champion. Have a $5,000 fine. He's gone, sure.
Yeah.
Can you wait until I get my latest round of deductions?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm waiting for a check. It'll come soon from you.
Off you go, Joel.
That's very good.
More reporting.
Evidently, $8.5 million wasn't enough for Wilson, who spent 2023 trying to pass off fraudulent Department of Treasury checks to a pair of commercial banks and the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Popular move. He also began training others to defraud the federal government, as they are wont to do, by filing illegitimate tax returns using Form 1041 to access a, quote, secret trust account.
Ooh.
This included helping Nathan Staples receive a tax refund of over $10 million in 2023. So he's a good teacher. That's what you're telling me. The two entered into a partnership to continue their criminal conduct. Of course they fucking did. And Cesar Wilson's scheme unraveled later that year. What a shame. When an IRS agent called him to investigate his tax returns, Wilson sent a frivolous response that contained a silver coin, which was returned. I would have kept it. Silver's gone up lots. After further examination established that Wilson had been, what Wilson had been up to, and his connection to Staples, the case was given to the U.S. Attorney's Office, where I'm guessing he's about to get fisted.
Now, you're a law-talking guy, Joel, so I just want to talk about this silver coin. And here's where soft sits are fucking nuts. The silver coin may be a silver dollar. The reports aren't clear. Are they a means for Wilson to claim he had a contract with the IRS?
Yeah, like I would imagine what this is the idea of consideration, which is basically you have a contract, but you give something of value to make the contract valid. And I've never quite completely understood this, but what it does is it separates from a gift. So if someone gives you something, then you have different legal responsibilities to them as to whether they sold you something or whether they gave it to you under some kind of agreement. So if I was to do some work for you or I was to sell you something, I have warranties and I have obligations. But if I painted your house for free or I gave you my cat, then fuck you. You take that cat. She's not a great cat. She's an okay cat, but no give backs. And there's no warranty shit on that. Like I have no obligation to it at all. So that's it seems to be like a general consideration thing. I've never 100% understood it.
Yeah, look, I did sign a contract to television years ago where I was given $1 coin afterwards. And I thought, this is
fucking weird.
This is some kind of soft sit law here.
Yeah. Am I about to get killed?
Anyway, but the coin was returned. The IRS said, I don't know what's going on here. Better just return that coin.
Yes.
And so there was no contract and no doubt in court. Wilson will offer the good old, he's got nothing left really. Where's your jurisdiction? He'd want to be especially persuasive to a judge and jury on that argument. Otherwise,
deeds and titles.
Fucked. Can we look at? He's just been charged, so allegedly guilty. But Joel, just run through his charges and the potential outcomes.
It's not great. So Wilson is facing charges of conspiracy to file false claims for tax refunds, filing a false claim for a tax refund, money laundering, and bank fraud. In addition to, of course, the federal government using forfeiture to seize any and all property related to the alleged crimes, including his lovely house. Wilson is looking at a potential sentence totaling more than 50 years in prison.
Yes, and look, if he's lucky enough to avoid that, he's going to go and move from that beautiful lakeside home to a van down by the river, Joel.
If he's fucking lucky. Yeah.
If he's lucky. So let's check the scoreboard. Sov sit, 8.5 million and change due to his fraud, allegedly, divided by 50 years. And that comes to $170,000 per annum, while the illegal government still owes him $330 million, but he's going to struggle to spend it until after he dies in jail.
Yes, that's about right. Yes.
I'm a staunch patriot. I love our country. I love our freedoms. I love that in Australia you can be anything that you want to be. There is nothing and no one stopping you from achieving your hopes, your aspirations, and your dreams.
So I'm going to crack a beer for this one because I would love to tell you all about how Zippy Babbitt is going and how he's thinking and what he's thinking of and what's going through his fucking pea-sized brain, but I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid I cannot. And while many of you are likely already disgusted by the fact that we pay this idiot and his camera boy Ruction a fuckload of money to whinge about things that mostly don't exist in reality, old Zip is not the ABC and nothing in life comes for free. Also, they say, so if you want to know what the Zipster's thinking, you need to pony up some cash.
What?
Yeah, he's paywalled his fucking tweets.
What? Really? Can you do that?
Paywall these tweets, you can do that. Yeah, and I'm not a stingy man. I'm no tightwad. I put my hat out for payment. You know, we've got a Patreon. We can paywall content. We've got the Black Label episodes.
Tweets?
Yeah. So, look, it does hit a bit different when it's a senator as well. It hits a lot different when that well-paid senator does nothing but post on company time. That's all he does. I find that very difficult to stomach. But, folks, look, even if I wanted to give this fucking idiot some of Elon's funneled money, look, I don't really care what his latest grievance is. But even if I did, I can't find out. And the reason why is he has me blocked.
Win-win.
So if I hit the subscribe button, it merely takes me back to his feed, which, of course, I can't see in his main account, on my main account, because Elon decided that blocking merely just stops people from interacting, not from seeing posts. So I still use my main account to watch Babbitt. I had to go to my sock. My sock gave me the insight of what Babbitt's up to, and I did decide not to take him up on his offer, his generous offer, although others have. For $11 a month, you can unlock 21 exclusive posts. 21!
50 cents. Almost 50 cents a prop.
And you can join the esteemed company of 4 other people. That's a fucking great deal. Now,
so 4 people have signed up for this. One obviously is Ruction. Probably the other one is his brother.
Yeah.
And then are there 2... We've got to find these people. These could be some of the most stupid people in Australia.
Russian
they will need help.
Bots making an accident.
They'll need help toileting themselves. These people could die in the shower.
Well, look, you'll change your mind soon because you can finish these amazing, thoughtful tweets like this one.
I'm off to Canberra. What
does that say? Don't know.
50 cents for that. Or if you've got any questions, feel ...
Yeah.
Another 50 cents.
We don't actually know what comes next. Only true believers will know, and I'm not putting $11 a month in his pocket. He can go fuck himself.
I'm not doing that.
No, fuck no. But don't worry, listeners. There's still plenty of free stuff for us plebs who can't justify giving a man who we already pay to post more money to post. I just find that balance sheet hard to reconcile. I mean, look, we do have some real intellectual shit here, though. Babbitt isn't afraid to tell it how it is and isn't scared of mixing 2 topics that you should avoid at a dinner party. Well, shit ones, at least, because any good dinner party should have these things as features. Politics and religion. So are you going to read this one for me? Because it's embarrassing as fuck.
Yes, I am.
Suck it. Yeah.
Many in the Australian Senate recoil in horror at the mere mention of Christ's name. They want any mention of his name, he's capitalised the H, stripped from the building, Constitution and our hearts. I don't think Jesus gets a mention in the Constitution. Can you quickly look that up, Joel? But anyway.
Look, we get that.
I am in a spiritual battle against the forces of evil who daily seek the ruin of souls. He's becoming quite religious, isn't he?
He's a weird guy. Yeah, because it was never really that from what I could see, but he's becoming like this sort of like, maybe I can do the ScoMo preacher pivot or some shit. I don't fucking know. It's just weird. Anyway, so look, I'm guessing this is due to him personally witnessing the recoil and horror when the Lord's Prayer is recited as per Standing Order 50 at the start of any fucking session in the Senate. I listen to Question Time. I hear them do it. Like, it's a thing. So, like, I suppose if you want to be sort of pedantic, the Lord's Prayer is more about his dad, I guess. It's not really Jesus. It's like, God.
Well, it's the triumvirate, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's the Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity? Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't go to do scripture at school. I actually have no fucking idea how any of this works. But, the Lord's Prayer is there.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. That's about it for me.
My name is not hallowed. Just don't call me late for breakfast. Anyway.
Hey.
Another freebie, which somehow had likes from 12,000 idiots and 2,400 retweets, why, had a picture of him bleating about something with a screenshot of a tweet that says this.
The world is controlled by satanic pedophiles. You see, now Dave Guru gets in a lot of trouble for that. Babs, he just fires them off. No worries. Give me 50 cents.
He didn't specifically target anyone, which is a large part of defamation law. But the tweet is captioned,
I was right.
Okay. Thanks, mate.
This is the free stuff, so you're not expecting quality.
No. You can't expect much. But this is posted without the explanation. And, of course, the comments are, let's see. Oh, that's right, a cesspool of anti-Semitic garbage. And, of course, these are accounts that Babbitt, unlike mine, has not blocked.
Interesting.
Yeah, telling. So it's always kind of funny when someone like this winds up in a place like Parliament. They see themselves as some kind of whistleblower type, but they've never got any material to add because there's nothing going on. So it's like, this vague shit about how everyone's evil except for them. Oh, I tell you what, if they let me in the Senate, I'd fucking fix everything. Oh, they let me in the Senate, I guess they're all pedophiles. I'm really not sure. Thanks, mate. But a big thanks to Batshit Crazy Cookers on Facebook, who posted a delicious screenshot of Babbitt bleating about the ABC not giving One Nation a fair crack. He tweeted this. So
ABC did not show Corey Bernardi's winner's speech because, of course, they didn't. Couple of things. Corey Bernardi didn't win anything. I mean, he's won a seat in the upper house,
yeah.
But his party has won one seat in the lower house, maybe two, possibly three, and maybe, I think, 2 seats in the upper house.
A party he
Labor
just parachuted into 3 minutes ago.
Thumping majority in both houses and will govern as it pleases.
Just absolutely no. So apparently when it was pointed out that they were banned from One Nation HQ, he deleted the tweet, which is nice. But the best part, of course, is the fact that the reason why the ABC were indeed banned, as we referred to sheepishly earlier, that an ABC investigation into one of their candidates revealed Owie Baxter. Owie? I don't know. He's also known as Trent Baxter.
Better known as Trent, isn't he? Trent Baxter.
He's wanted in the UK for failing to show up to court over a sexual offence, which is specifically sexually touching a woman without consent. Now, most parties would know this already about their candidate due to the most basic of vetting processes, and some may think that it was a bit of a favour. Gee, these guys fucking dodged a bullet there. Jeez, imagine if that guy got elected. No, in the party of sex pet.
Do you remember when the baddies in Blazing Saddles were recruiting all these really horrific people to fight the town?
No.
Do you remember that? And there was Magnificent Slim Pickens is actually going through it. It's just wonderful. It was so funny. And people would come up and see me go, well, what you do? And they go, well, murdered, all that sort of stuff. And go, oh, you're in, And one guy goes up and goes, what have you done? He goes, rape, murder, and rape. He goes, you said rape twice. And he goes, I like rape.
Yep, that's the kind of thing they're looking for.
That's one of the reasons Blazing Saddles could not be made in 2026.
No, it really couldn't. Nor could be podcasted. So, look, it really is a party of sex pest. It's just pathetic. Anyone who dares to challenge Pauline's pick is to be shunned entirely because it's a fascist organisation, despite the fact they really don't want to face that fact. It's so obvious. And, even the national broadcaster. Sorry, mate. If you expose us for the sex pests that we are, we're going to shun you because that's how we work. We protect our own because we actually don't mind. Although we'll tell everyone else they're sex pests and be upset about it performatively. So, look, for a man who moans at degeneracy on a constant basis, it seems he's very okay with this one because, he was wearing a fetching orange T-shirt, and I'm sure none of you were surprised by that.
Look, he might actually say, look, can I get a gig,
He'll have a crack. This is the only way you can possibly get re-elected.
Give me 50 cents for that tweet.
Yeah, exactly. That's how he's going to build his empire, $11 at a time.
You have been listening to the Conditional Release program with your host, Jack the Insider, and Joel Hill.
Yep. Jack, we found on Twitter at Jack the Insider. I'm on Crunch Modes with a K. Not really. I just don't check anymore. But
I'm checking once a day. That's pretty much it.
It's so bad.
I do have my DMs open. And we have a Patreon, as we said at the front of the show, to help keep this sustainable. It's bloody time consuming. And for as little as $5 a month, you'll have access to all sorts of bonus content, including our Black Label episodes, where we go a little bit hard, do a lot of swearing, and defame quite a lot of people. Satanic satanic cults, all that sort of stuff, baby eating. And
they can't afford to find
no
out.
one can touch us. No one can touch us.
Well, don't. Please don't
touch us.
True. Yeah,
please don't touch us. And finally,
yes,
all feedback, tips, and death threats should be sent to the Conditional Release Program at Gmail. We would love to hear from you, even if it's to tell us you've just received a pair of black Oxford Florsheim dress shoes with a bit of Donald Trump shit on them. Thanks, listeners.
He pooped his panties. Thanks, guys. See ya.
He does it a bit. He does it a bit, apparently.
He does. Yeah.
I don't think I ever want to talk to any of those people.
Fuck me! You guys are bastards!